Y'all, I have been so stinking busy, but I have had a chance to watch Married to Medicine's reunion part 1 and 2, and we're going to talk about it in this episode after this brief introduction. Let's go. Ready or not. Ready or not. Here I come. Can't hide. Gonna find you and then yo. I play my enemies like a game of chess where I rest. No stress, no success. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm B Renee and this is B Renee Says, where I talk about my life in the entertainment industry as well as a full-time working professional. I also talk about relationships, life, love, and everything in between. Please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of any video I drop. Now let's get into it. So, Married to Medicine Season 12 is done. We're talking about parts 1 and 2 of the reunion. The first thing I want to talk about is these fashions. Y'all, I apologize for my voice. This pollen is getting your girl down, okay? It's messing with my allergies, and I gotta sing this weekend. Pray for me, but I digress. To me, Dr. Jackie was the best dressed, followed by, I would say, Toya, then Angel, Quad, Dr. Contessa, and then everybody else. That's just my opinion. That's what I think. Simplicity is key, I think, with this red theme. And like the different capes and the gloves and all that stuff. To me, it was a little too much. So those were my favorite dress. But here's a picture of all the ladies with Dr. Jackie in the middle. But they all look fabulous. This red power color is fire. And I'm not sure if Bravo is using this as a theme or whatever, because we just finished Potomac, and Potomac also had the red theme. So we'll see how this goes when Atlanta premieres in a couple of days. So we got some behind the scenes footage, which they do all the time now for these reunions, and it is Simone and Brandy. Oh Lord, I forgot the child's name just that quick, y'all. I'm not sure what this is Brandy is wearing. I'm assuming it's high fashion. It's okay. It's kind of cute. But anyway, we're moving on, and they're showing the different dressing rooms. In this particular scene, Simone and Jackie did not share a dressing room for the first time in, I think, forever. I don't know. But they did not share a dressing room, and it's because Simone basically was still ticked at Jackie for riding the fence on that episode of Watch What Happens Live. So we get into the reunion, and the first thing they tackle, of course, is the Met Gala. And in this first scene where they're talking about the Met Gala, Toya and Simone threw so much shade at Dr. Heavenly, because they were talking about somebody asked a question. One of the viewers from social media asked if Toya was still in her house, because Toya has a tendency to sell a house every 3 months, seems like. But she's still in this home, and Simone in turn shades Heavenly about about Toya having an immaculate home and that she doesn't have to worry about anybody coming to pressure wash her house, which of course is a flashback to the great Mariah Huq, when they were a couple seasons back, when I think it was the last season, Mariah was on there, and she went in on Heavenly about her house being nasty. But I digress. Y'all, that was so funny to me. It was funny, I have to say. And then also, which I thought was a dig, I did not think this was too funny. Toya said something under her breath like, "My husband trusts me with our son." Like, that was, wow. That to me, that's kind of hitting below the belt. Kids should be off limits. Children should be off limits, especially if they're dealing with medical emergencies or emotional and mental stability and things like that. I thought that was kind of tacky of Toya to say, and maybe that's why they call her Tacky Toya, honey. But Heavenly does come back with the shade and saying that tell us why, why Eugene is working so far away. Allegedly, the word on the street is because he was fired from the ER and could not find a job in the area because of what happened. Don't know. I have not tuned into the medical community like that. But that is word on the street. They also talked about Toya and Eugene's fight at their house party, their skip workday party, which to me was cringe. I did do a video on that episode, and it was cringe to me how she was basically emasculating her husband in front of all these people. So Toya brings out a group chat lab coat, which I thought was pretty clever. It was a group chat of all the conversations they had about the Met Gala. Of course, Toya was the chairperson this year. And they talked about all the other years where Toya didn't even give the money that they set out to contribute. That one year, it might have been last year or the year before, where she just bought wine for everybody to drink, which was not what they agreed on. So that was Toya's package in the show. So the next one, I believe, is Quad. Now, it had been rumored that Quad and King had broke up before the season even started. And you can tell from some of the interviews that are out there. I've seen some on IG and YouTube. Also, one of my favorite bloggers I follow was also talking about an interview that Quad and King had. And you could just tell that Quad was putting her PR spin on everything. And, as far as the relationship is concerned, I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know if he was a rental boyfriend to begin with. Shout out to Kenya Moore, who started this terrible trend. But I don't know. It was just something about it that was weird. She said it was real for her, and that she didn't want him to be at the reunion, so she was just moving forward with her life. And but according to King, there was much more to tell, and he actually wanted to be present at the reunion, but she didn't want him there. Yeah, this is typical Quad behavior, y'all. I don't know. It's also rumored that Quad dips in the lady pond, but who knows? She just may be pansexual. I don't know. I digress. But that's basically what they talked about with Quad. That was her whole package about her relationship with King, her IVF journey, which I do believe that was real. I don't feel like that she was going through all that process and flying to Ghana to get shots and seeing Dr. Jackie on a regular basis. I don't think all of that was for the show. I really think that she really did want a child with him. Even if they didn't stay together, at least she would have someone in her corner who she knows would be a great father to her baby. I don't know. That remains to be seen. I like Quad. I really do. I always have. I did not like how they all flipped on Mariah, and that's how Mariah ended up leaving the show as a cast member. But of course, she's still executive producer because this was her creation. And then how they tried to ostracize Quad just 2 seasons ago, and now she's back in the fold. Just weird stuff. But let's move on to the next interesting conversation between Contessa and Brandy. Now that was just all for TV. That was just something. Contessa was just being petty in her confessionals, and that party, that birthday dinner that Brandy's husband had for her. Shout out to Brandy and her husband. They are both D9 members. I love Black Excellence. She's, of course, is a great physician, and I'm not sure what he does. I know he's a member of Omega Psi Phi, and she's a Delta as well. So I just love to see the Black excellence on the TV screen. That's the one thing about this show that I really do like, is that you're still dealing with Black working professionals who give back to the community, who try to educate and empower our culture on the best practices as far as medicine and dental health and all the things, which I think is superb. This is why this is my favorite show. To me, one of the best reality shows on TV, especially on Bravo. So to sum this up, as far as Brandy and Contessa, I think that Contessa was just a little jealous of what Brandy's husband was doing for her, and she can't get Scott to do some things for her that she thinks he should automatically want to do for her. That's what I'm getting based on the conversation at the dinner table, at the birthday dinner, and in her confessional, and previous seasons about her issues with Scott that she brought to the show that Heavenly went in on a rampage and talked about. But to Heavenly's defense, she did bring it to the show first. So I think it's a combination of all those things. And Brandy being a new girl, being younger, being a Delta just like she is. Just some of those things. Some women are insecure. And that may be a moment of insecurity for her. I don't know. But they got past it. They talked. They've moved on. And that was that. I think Dr. Jackie is a slow, late bloomer, I guess I would say. The longer she's on the show, the more activated she's becoming. And this is the most activated I've seen her at a reunion in a while, as far as it might be ever, because she doesn't really speak unless it's something, what's the word I'm looking, non-messy, I guess you would say. But in this particular season, at the beginning of the season, I remember the first episode that Jackie had issue with Toya as well, because Toya went on Watch What Happens Live and basically said that Curtis had his hands on other ladies in the cast. And they flashed back to that time where Curtis grabbed Toya by the waist and pulled him on his lap, which I thought was cringe when it happened. It was kind of weird. But anyway, so they went back and forth. Toya and Jackie went back and forth a little bit on that. And that was basically Jackie's biggest issue, was what Toya said about Curtis. Other than that, we got the same old Dr. Jackie stuff. Now, I will say that I was glad that she and Simone reconciled, because to me, they are really the pillars of the show, the both of them, and their friendship that vast, over 30 years, way before the show even came into existence. So I think that is something that is very beautiful and authentic about the show. Kind of like how Housewives, when it first started, when Nene, Sheree, and Kim, knew each other, and basically Nene went and got these ladies because she was cool with them to be on the show. It's kind of that same dynamic, but they, are working professionals. They're physicians, which I think is really, really cool. So I was glad that they were able to work things out. To me, it was heavily basically trying to come between Jackie and Simone yet again. And Simone's is truly done with Heavenly. You can tell by the way she's talking to her, the way she's talking at her, I would say. She's blocked her on social media, all those things. Which turned Damon the best, but really is truly done with Heavenly. And that is kind of sad too, because they were close at one time. So before the men came out, when they were backstage watching the first part of the reunion with the ladies, Eugene and Steve got into it. Steve Sanders is a retired NFL player. I don't remember who Steve played for. I'm not a football girly, a wag or anything like that. So I really don't know what team he played for. I don't know why Miami is sticking out in my head. But listen, again, football fans, don't beat me up, okay? As a matter of fact, if you do know who he used to play for, let me know. Sound down in the comments. That way I am informed, okay? But they got into it, and I could kind of see Steve's side with it, because Toya was constantly coming at his wife. They were both defending their wives, which I completely respect. But I think the fact that Steve got a little too jazzy with Eugene, because the fellas usually let the ladies do what they do. And if there's any kind of alt with each other, they work it out and they move forward. To me, Steve's a little more messy. Steve gives Peter Thomas vibes just a little bit. So I think that's one reason why he just did not want to let it go. And he kind of hit below the belt, calling Eugene Bush, emasculating him yet again, which is what Toya does. So I guess Steve feels like, hell, if she's gonna do it, then he can do it too. So they get into it backstage, and then when the men do come out, they do discuss it again. And I really think that a couple of the guys had issues with Eugene this year, because you could tell when they were in Jamaica that there were issues. Curtis had issues with Eugene, how he was talking about the Met Gala and all those things. And then Damon, with him going through what he went through with his son, Damon was just over it. You could tell it. You could see the disappointment, the sadness all in his face. He was worried about his son the whole time they were filming, felt like. And the guys were being the guys. I mean, they were able to work it out, and it was a quick segment. This was only a 2-part reunion, which was all they really needed, honestly. So they kind of resolved everything. I kind of feel like between Eugene and Steve, that's probably something that's going to carry on into the next season if they come back, which I do believe everyone on this cast should be back. I think Bravo got it right with this casting, and they should keep this right where it is and work on out until whenever. But that's basically the entire reunion, parts 1 and 2 of Married to Medicine. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know who was your best dress. Who do you think was the best dress or the least dress? Simone was my least favorite. I don't know. Simone don't get it right though. She usually don't. There's been some seasons where she's been okay, and there's been some seasons where it's just like, Simone, what? So she was my least favorite dress. But let me know what you think. And as always, I will either see you guys or hear from you guys in the next video. Bye.